you switch to fixed pricing if you've been charging by the hour or by the day or by the week? Let's get into it. So a reader of my emails the other day asked me, how do I switch to fixed pricing for larger projects since I've been billing by the day? So this is a really good question. I hear it a lot, and folks who are kind of new to this whole concept of productized services may be wondering, I've been charging by the hour or by the day or by the week. How do I switch to a fixed price where I just put X dollars on my site and people can just buy this product for that much? Like, how do you make that actually work and make it viable if you're used to just charging for your time? So I have a couple of points that I'll share on how to think about this. It's mostly a mindset shift, really, and almost everything is, but then you can actually start to use that mindset to change the way that you do business or that you deliver your service. But if I think back to my days when I was working as a solo consultant, I was doing freelance web design work. Even back then, it wasn't a productized service back then, but I was still not really charging by the hour or for my time, really. What I was doing was I was setting a fixed price for each individual project. Now, every project was completely different. Some were very large, some took a long time, some were very short, and I would write a custom proposal for every client, and now that was a total pain, and it had all sorts of problems. Like, I didn't know who I was targeting, and I couldn't do active marketing because I didn't have an ideal customer. But as every new customer came in the door, I treated that one customer almost as like a mini productized service deal, right? Where, okay, they have these problems, they have these goals, I'm going to talk with them about it and then create a proposal to say, okay, I'm going to deliver X, Y, and Z. I'll literally spell it out in a proposal, and here's the fixed dollar amount. Here's about how much time it's going to take, and sign on the dotted line or not, right? Now, the reason that I did that was because A, I didn't really want to track my hours. B, I knew that clients don't truly feel comfortable paying by the hour because it's too they don't know exactly how much they're going to end up paying. They don't know how many hours it's going to take. Really what they want to know is, like, at the end of the day, how much am I going to spend on this to get the job done? And so I try to just do that, give that to them up front. I even did that years ago when I was a freelancer. I did these fixed project bids, right? So if you take that a step further and you start to think about, okay, I've been doing all these different projects, and some are for $100, some are for $1,000, some are for $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. You could start to figure out, okay, which of these projects, which of these customers that I tend to work with can become a repeatable project for me? How can I find that type of customer again and again and again and solve the same problem for that customer again and again and again, right? So then once you start to figure that question out, then you can start to say, okay, well, how would I price this? And this is where you get into value-based pricing, and this is very important when you're doing fixed pricing models. You're pricing not so much based on the amount of time that you're going to put into it, you're pricing based on the value to that particular customer in terms of the value of having that problem solved. If you're doing website design, how valuable is it for a business to have a new website that enables them to do business online, right? I know that's a really broad question. It's different for every type of customer, but depending on the customer, depending on their industry, depending on how they would use their website, you can charge different amounts, or you can target different customers and go with a price point that gives them a strong return on investment. That's how you start to think about value-based pricing. Now, the next question, of course, is, okay, well, how much will it cost you to deliver that service for that price? And that is where you can start to factor in time. Like, how much of your time can you fit in? So let's say that you're a solo person, you have no other employees working around you, then how many projects can you fit into a week or into a month? And how much will you need to charge for those projects in order to earn the amount of income that you need to sustain your business and sustain your life, right? If you're working with a team, then how much does it cost to pay that team to deliver the service, and how long of a period of time? So in that sense, it does come down to figuring out your costs and your profit margins. But again, if it's fixed, then you can start to fix your costs, right? So like in my businesses, I know exactly how much I pay for each article, and the manager and the assistant and the editor, and how much all those costs add up to produce a single article for our content service. And then I price that accordingly so that everybody gets paid and there is profit margin built in to grow the business. So the final piece of this is to figure out who your most ideal customers are, because no matter what service you're offering, that same service can be priced really low, it can be priced in the middle of the road, or it can be priced really high. And then the only question is, okay, so which end of the market are you going after? Are you going for the local mom and pop shop who, might have a relatively lower budget, and then it might be a quantity game, or you just don't need that many. You have low costs, so you can work at that low end of the market, or are you looking to sell to the enterprise, and maybe you're delivering more or less the same service, the same type of website, the same thing, but when you're selling it to a large company where they have more on the line and they have more people involved and they're reaching more people, then they would be willing to pay more for that service. And when they're willing to pay more, you can put more resources into it. You can either spend more of your time on it, or you can hire people to go into it, and that's how you can start to figure out, okay, this is the price point, these are going to be my costs, and this is the profit margin, and this is a repeatable model that I can get more and more of this type of customer to buy this package, and that's something repeatable. That's a model, and of course it takes a lot of time to figure that out, to figure out all those pieces, and a lot of trial and error, and talking to customers and figuring out what works and get their reactions to it. But once you figure out all those questions, all of a sudden you've well, not all of a sudden, it takes time, but over time you will find yourself in a situation where you're no longer saying, okay, 1 hour of my time is worth X dollars, and as long as I'm billing for those hours, then I'm good, to a situation where if I can sell X number of packages per month, and they cost me X number of, they cost me X dollars per project, then that's something that I can scale up. I can put people into the roles to take on more projects, and now you're working on the business. You're working on the systems and the processes to scale that model, rather than just trying to hustle and put in more of your own billable hours, if that makes sense. So thank you for the question. If you guys have any other questions, you get my email newsletter, hit reply, and I will add it to my list of things to answer here on these videos. And thanks for watching.